You're listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. Each week, your host, Polly Requa, interviews veterinarians and individuals in the pet industry from across the nation answering pet questions. Bark and Wag podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment, and show notes can be found at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. That's BARKNWAG.com. Please remember to subscribe to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. Bark and Wag is dedicated to protecting our dogs through advocacy, education, and supporting like-minded dog lovers by selling custom pet products. Bark and Wag is excited to announce our new partnership with a Colorado hemp farm to produce a line of CBD products for your pets. Bark and Wag has CBD pet tincture available in 300, 750, 1200, and 2400 milligrams. Bark and Wag CBD is pet safe, no THC, it's made in the USA, and is CO2 extracted. Please check out Bark and Wag's website, barkandwag.com. That is BARK, to see our line of CBD and awesome merchandise. We love pooch ideas for podcasts and merchandise, so anytime send an email to Polly at barkandwag.com with your suggestions.
Welcome to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. I'm your host, Polly Requa. Today we're talking to Dr. Laura Brown, owner of Green Tree Animal Hospital in Libertyville, Illinois. Welcome, Laura.
Hey, Polly. Good to be back.
So, what are the signs your dog has an ear infection if there is no gook in their ears?
Good question. Probably the couple of things is head shaking, randomly head shaking, putting their head on the ground and rubbing their head along the ground, putting their foot up there and scratching their head. Some dogs are super sensitive to touch. Like if you go to pet them, all of a sudden they'll like yelp a little bit. And sometimes even if you don't see anything, you can smell something. That would be a little bit of a red flag too.
So our pug will have brown kind of gook. So I know I want to clean, and then if he keeps rubbing his face against a pillow, or I know to take him into the vet, it's kind of like a sign. Right. But what about if there is no gook? Like, how do you know if it's a yeast ear infection?
Well, the way that veterinarians do it, so dogs have a longer ear canal than people. So we use an otoscope that has this real long cone on it, different than the people ones. The cone goes in and then takes the ear canal takes like a 45-degree turn. So to see all the way to the eardrum, there's a little bend in the ear. So the veterinarian needs that cone. So sometimes I'll have a dog come in and the ears look pretty good on the outside, but when I stick the otoscope and the cone down there, way deep down there, there's still a bunch of gook. So then we take a swab out of there from pretty deep, and we look under the microscope to find out what's causing it. And that's where we find the yeast or bacteria. There's a couple different kinds of bacteria.
Okay.
Do you clean the pug's ears regularly?
Randomly. Definitely in the summer. In the winter, if I remember, which is probably not great.
I mean, the other thing too, you should not put a Q-tip down your own dog's ear canal, but you can get some ear cleaner with and just use a nice soft gauze, cotton ball, paper towel, Kleenex, and put a little bit of ear cleaner down there, and sometimes that'll scooch around down there, and then the dog shakes its head and a bunch of junk comes flying out.
Okay. When they're swimming in the summer, they could get an ear infection every week. So I've got to be proactive on that.
And you clean them once a week then, or after every time they swim?
Yeah, after they swim.
Good.
Yeah. But I just wanted to know, and I'm sure listeners don't really know what the signs of when your dog has an ear infection, and then you go into the doctor appointment and they say, oh, your dog has a double ear infection.
Yeah. And that's because we look way down in there where you can't really see without the otoscope and stuff. And sometimes it's pretty obvious. It's just the not so obvious ones, but obvious ones are the tissue on the ear and the skin's hot red. You can look at one ear and compare it to the other. It's hot, pink, red, smelly, and stuff's pouring out of there. Those are the obvious ones. But they definitely can get stuff way down deep in there that you'll miss without that looking in there.
Okay. Well, thank you for all the tips, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, www.barkandwag.com, to your friends and other pet owners. Have a pressing question for a veterinarian? Ask your question at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. This has been a KFR production. Join us next time for another edition of Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk.